Your brain remembers painful memories more vividly than happy ones, not by accident, on purpose. That embarrassing moment from years ago, the argument you wish you handled differently, the message you never should have sent, your brain can replay it with perfect clarity, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes when you're trying to focus on something else. And the strange part is that you never asked for it. You might be sitting quietly, driving, showering, trying to fall asleep, then suddenly your mind drags you back into something you wish it would forget. A conversation, a rejection, a mistake. Your chest tightens slightly, your stomach sinks. You feel the same discomfort all over again. And you wonder something simple: why does my brain keep doing this to me? It feels almost cruel, but your brain isn't trying to punish you, it's trying to protect you. That's the strange truth behind painful memories. Your mind is not built to remember the past equally. It's built to remember threats. Thousands of years ago, forgetting something pleasant wasn't dangerous. Forgetting something painful could be fatal. If you once ate a berry that made you sick, your brain made sure you remembered it. If you once trusted someone who betrayed you, your mind wanted that memory burned deep enough that it would never happen again. Pain became a signal, and signals that protect survival are never stored quietly. They're stored loudly. Your brain marks them as important, which is why the moments that hurt you, the ones that made you feel rejected, embarrassed, or powerless, often return with surprising intensity. Your brain's essentially saying, remember this. Don't repeat it. But the system that once protected you in a dangerous world now operates in modern life, where most threats are emotional instead of physical. So the brain treats social pain like physical danger. That awkward silence when someone ignored you, the breakup that blindsided you, the moment someone laughed at something you said. Your brain files those moments under the same category it once used for predators and poison: threat. Which means it keeps bringing them back, not gently, but forcefully. Think about how these memories usually appear. They don't show up like neutral information. They arrive suddenly, almost like a flash. Your mind replays the scene in detail: the room, the words, the expressions, sometimes even the exact tone of someone's voice. It's as if your brain pressed play on an old recording, and you're stuck watching. You try to move on, but the scene loops again, sometimes hours later, sometimes years later. The reason this happens has less to do with memory and more to do with unfinished emotional processing. Your brain hates unresolved situations. When something painful happens and you never fully understood it, your mind keeps returning to it. It tries different versions of the story. What if you had said something else? What if you had reacted differently? What if you noticed the signs earlier? Your brain replays the event like a detective reviewing evidence. But here's the unsettling part. The brain isn't always searching for truth. Sometimes it's searching for control. When something hurt you unexpectedly, your mind tries to rebuild the moment in a way where you could have predicted it, because if the event becomes predictable, it becomes preventable. And if it becomes preventable, you feel safer. That's why painful memories are often paired with something else. Self-criticism. Your brain starts pointing fingers. You should have seen it coming. You shouldn't have trusted them. You shouldn't have said that. It feels harsh. But inside the brain, this criticism is part of the same protective mechanism. It's trying to convince you that the situation could have been avoided, because believing you had control feels less terrifying than believing you didn't. But there's another, darker layer beneath all of this. Sometimes your brain replays painful memories, not because the event itself was confusing, but because it changed how you see yourself. A breakup doesn't just hurt because someone left. It hurts because it can quietly rewrite your sense of worth. A public embarrassment doesn't just sting because of the moment. It lingers because it threatens your identity. You thought you were confident. Now your brain questions that. You thought you understood someone. Now your mind wonders if you misread everything. Memories that challenge your identity become especially sticky. Your brain returns to them repeatedly, trying to repair the gap between who you thought you were and what happened. That's why some moments refuse to fade. They are not just memories. They are unfinished stories about who you are, and your brain keeps trying to rewrite them. You might notice something else about these mental replays. They rarely show you the full picture. Your brain zooms in on the painful part, not the 100 normal days around it, just the mistake, the rejection, the awkward silence. It isolates the moment and magnifies it because your brain isn't trying to be fair. It's trying to be alert. But here's where things become interesting. Over time, the brain doesn't just replay the memory, it reshapes it. Every replay slightly rewires the emotional intensity, sometimes making it worse, because the brain strengthens the pathways it uses the most. The more often a painful memory is replayed with self-blame, the more easily that pathway activates again, until eventually the memory becomes automatic, almost like your brain developed a habit, not a conscious habit, a neurological one. And habits are difficult to interrupt. But there is one quiet shift that changes how these memories behave. The moment you stop treating them as problems to solve. Because most painful memories don't return for answers. They return because your brain believes they are still important. The more you resist them, analyze them, or fight them, the more your brain marks them as significant, so it brings them back again and again. But when you recognize what the brain is actually doing, something subtle changes. The memory loses part of its urgency. It stops feeling like an emergency that needs resolution. It becomes something simpler, a signal from an old protective system that doesn't always understand the present. The brain is still trying to keep you safe using rules written thousands of years ago. And once you understand that, you start seeing those memories differently. Not as evidence that something is wrong with you, but as proof that your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from repeating pain. Even if sometimes it doesn't know when to let the past stay in the past.